Joining me now from Beirut in Lebanon is Maha Yahya, Director of the Carnegie Middle East Center. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Rosemary. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you too. So with the tensions running high after Israel and Hezbollah exchanged this heavy fire, is the region more at risk of a wider conflict now or less? And what role did Israel's preemptive strikes on Hezbollah play in where this escalation in violence is going?
I think the region has been at the cusp of an all-out conflict for some time now. This was just the latest episode. What we saw yesterday was just the latest episode in an increasingly fragile and increasingly tense region. That's where you have different actors literally dancing at the edge of a precipice. The actions of Israel and Hezbollah on Sunday, what we have right now is literally a battle of narratives. Israel is claiming that they had reliable intel, and they're talking about 1,000. There are two different stories. 1,000, others are saying 6,000 missiles that were going to attack Israel and attack civilian infrastructure. Ben Gurion Airport was mentioned. This seems quite far-fetched because everything we have seen from Hezbollah and Iran at this point is that they have avoided civilian infrastructure. They do not want to escalate into an all-out war. They have no interest in that because an all-out war will only cause a lot of damage for them. On the Hezbollah side, also, they've been perpetuating a narrative that their operation was a success and that they managed to hit a number of bases and that it was not a preemptive strike. They had struck first. Honestly, I think time will tell who was the what actually happened on Sunday morning. But what we do know is that the exchange of fire is over for now. Civilian infrastructure and civilian targets were avoided by both Hezbollah and Israel to a more limited extent. So this episode is over until the next escalation takes place. And we will continue seeing this escalation until a ceasefire takes place in Gaza and a more kind of region-wide de-escalation initiative is put in place.
So what impact do you think this escalating violence will have on efforts to reach a ceasefire and hostage release deal?
I don't think very much. The hostage and ceasefire deal has its own momentum. The fact that the escalation was limited and ended there, Hassan Nasrallah spoke of it even in his speech and said, we did not want to escalate more than this. We needed to respond to Fuad Shukur's killing, but did not want to escalate further because we do not want to jeopardize the ceasefire talks. The ceasefire talks have their own momentum, and they really are from what we're hearing from Israeli analysts, but also hostage negotiators, those participating in the talks themselves. The biggest obstacle so far has been the changing targets of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He has changed the goalposts so many times on his own negotiators that it's become very difficult and is making it impossible practically to put together a ceasefire deal, something that the US has been pushing for and others have been pushing for back since May. So from his perspective, he has no interest whatsoever in having a ceasefire deal, knowing that if there is a ceasefire deal, if there's any kind of cessation in hostilities over a period of a month or 2 months, it will make the resumption of fighting that much more difficult, something that he needs to maintain his own popularity, his own political relevance, etc.
And Maha, you are there in Lebanon, in Beirut. What is the mood there as this violence between Hezbollah and Israel escalates with this exchange of fire, and who knows where this goes from here?
Again, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger, a sigh of relief that this did not go further. I mean, it's 2006. Lebanon was in a war with Israel. Many of us who were here, remember the horror of living under Israeli bombs. So it's a very anxious country. People are leaving, cutting short their summer vacations and leaving. There's a lot of worry, but at the same time, they're going on with their daily lives. So it's the sense that there is nothing that ordinary Lebanese are able to do about this, and that the momentum and decision making is happening elsewhere. Is also very frustrating for many Lebanese. But I can tell you, no one wants a war here. Everyone wants this to be over and done with. They want to see an end to the carnage in Gaza, but also an end to the conflict in Lebanon. More than 150,000 civilians still live in the areas that were being bombarded yesterday, and far more than that. There are 100,000 Lebanese who've been displaced from the border areas and whose homes are now rubble. Numerous towns and villages have been completely destroyed over the past 10 months, in addition to agricultural crop, etc.
Maha Yahya, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your analysis and perspective on this issue. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rosemary.